Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Council on Foreign Relations. I'm Richard Haass, President of CFR, and I'm delighted today to welcome and introduce a man who needs little introduction, His Excellency Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India. The Prime Minister, as you all know, and as you've seen in our media, has taken New York City by storm. Madison Square Garden has not seen such excitement since the Knicks last won a championship, which was so long ago that few who were witness are still with us today. Sorry, pardon for the parochial reference to our no longer successful basketball team. The Prime Minister may have come a long way to be with us, but he wasn't the only traveler from India who logged a lot of miles this week. India's Mars orbiter also arrived at its destination just days ago. And my congratulations to the Prime Minister and to all in his country who made this accomplishment possible. Prime Minister Modi is the 6th sitting Prime Minister of India that we here at the Council on Foreign Relations have been fortunate enough to host. And this reflects our long-standing commitment to the study of India, as well as its relations with its neighbors and with the United States. We are especially proud to host the Prime Minister during his first visit to the United States since assuming office following a truly historic election 127 days ago. His party won the first absolute majority in Parliament in 30 years. Voter turnout, and all Americans should pay heed to this, voter turnout was an astounding 550 million individuals. 66% of the electorate went to the polls. And the large mandate garnered from this turnout and outcome ignited a buzz of excitement in India and beyond, and has led to high expectations for change. Now, as many of you know, the Prime Minister ran on a platform that centered on good governance and economic growth and development in India, a message that reflected all he accomplished as Chief Minister in Gujarat. But the Prime Minister will also have more than a little opportunity to focus on India's external relations, including those with this country. As is often remarked upon, India and the United States are the world's two largest democracies. The bilateral relationship is potentially one of the most important for the United States. That said, I use the word potentially consciously because we are not yet there. Our relationship is underdeveloped in terms of trade and investment, energy security, and strategic cooperation on both regional issues, including South and East Asia, as well as transnational issues, including terrorism and climate change. And the challenge and the opportunity for both countries, for both the United States and India, is to translate all this potential into reality. I look forward to speaking with the Prime Minister on his plans for India, especially on his plans for its economy, and on the foreign policy and national security challenges he and his countries face. First, however, the Prime Minister will deliver some remarks, and he'll do so in Hindi. For those of you who are not yet fluent in Hindi, there are headphones. Afterwards, Prime Minister and I will sit down in conversation for a few minutes before we open it up to our members for additional questions. And I want to let everyone know that this meeting is on the record. So with that, again, I want to welcome Prime Minister Modi to the Council on Foreign Relations and invite him up here to this podium to deliver his remarks. Sir.
Dr. Richard Haass, and all the respected guests here. 5 previous prime ministers have had the opportunity to talk to you in this hall before. I am the number 6. For the last 3 days, I've been in your city,
मुझे
and
जो उत्साह उमंग और
the encouragement and love and affection that I have got,
लिए
for that,
मैं इस शहर का यूएस का
I'm very grateful to this city and for US, and I express my gratitude from my heart.
मैं विशेष रूप से
Especially
सीएफआर के इस परंपरा को
the tradition of CFR,
बधाई देता हूं कि उसकी अपनी एक क्रेडिबिलिटी बनाई है।
which has created its own credibility, and I would like to congratulate it for that, that they
विचारों को थोपते नहीं,
do not impose their own ideas.
विचारों को सुनते हैं,
They listen to the ideas,
सब पक्षों के विचारों को सुनते हैं
they listen to the ideas of all
और उसी
the
को सिरे से
aspects,
सामने रखते हैं।
and then present them before the world.
छोड़ देते हैं कि
And they leave it to the world
भिन्न भिन्न पहलू हैं।
that these are the different ideas, these are the different aspects. You judge what is right and what's wrong.
मैं समझता हूं कि ये अपने आप
I believe that in itself,
छोटा काम नहीं,
this is not a small thing. Otherwise,
संस्थागत प्रेम इतना होता है,
there is so much love
संस्था की अपनी
of an institution. The institution is always concerned about its own image, that somewhere or the other, they always try to color their own ideas and impose their own ideas. But CFR has always tried to save itself continuously and
और सब पहलुओं को लाकर
has brought all the aspects
सबके सामने
together and presented them before everybody. This is something for which I would like to congratulate CFR from my heart.
डॉक्टर हास का संबंध हिंदुस्तान से
Dr. Haas has had a very good relationship with India,
के संबंधों को
and
पिछले दशक
in the last decade, the relationship between India and US
में संबंधों को
has been given an impetus, and in that, Dr. Haas has played a very important role. When Vajpayee was in
सक्रिय भूमिका रही थी,
government, at that time he had played a very important role,
इस योगदान को
and the entire government
हमेशा
has always remembered his contribution in a very positive way, and even today I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Haas for this. As Dr. Haas just told us,
कि 30 साल के बाद
that after 30 years,
भारत में पहली बार
for the first time in India,
एक पूर्ण बहुमत वाली सरकार
a government has been elected with full absolute majority.
और वो भी
And
जो हमेशा विपक्ष में रहती थी,
that party, which was always in the opposition, such a party has come to power.
और पहली बार भारत में
And for the first time in India, such a person has got the opportunity to become the prime minister who was born in independent India. So far, all the prime ministers that have been in our country
शासन था उसी काल में
were born in the British era.
मैं वो इंसान
And that is why I'm a person
गुलामी के उन दिन देखने का
who
अवसर नहीं आया।
did not get the opportunity to see the days of slavery.
मैं जन्म ही मैंने लोकतंत्र की
I was born,
ब्रीदिंग के साथ किया है।
and as soon as I was born, I took my first breath in the democracy. And in each breath of mine, there is democracy. And because of my firm faith in democracy, today a person of very humble grounding has come to the highest office. This is the power of democracy.
पहली बार बहुमत मिला है,
This is the first time that we got absolute majority. And because of that,
दो जनरेशन
almost 2 generations
जो अपनी आशा आकांक्षाओं को
who
समेट करके बैठे,
had been sitting there keeping all their expectations and aspirations, suddenly there has been a boil. And every single youth in India who is about 40 to 45-year-old today,
10 साल की उम्र से अपने 40 साल की आयु तक
from the age of 10 to the age of 40, he has only seen instability, disappointment, that kind of an atmosphere is all he has seen. And when this situation has come, it is natural. His expectations have risen a lot.
और उन अपेक्षाओं को पूर्ण
And to fulfill those expectations is our duty.
भारत एक विशाल देश है।
India is a very wide country. To understand its election is also a very difficult task.
और जैसे पश्चिम के
And
देशों में चुनावों पर किताबें लिखी जाती
as books are written on elections in the Western countries, there is no such tradition in India so far. And because of that, the color and the way the elections are held and its perimeter, everything,
कोई व्यक्ति वहाँ चुनाव
unless and until somebody sees elections from close angle, he will not understand all of that. And perhaps in the world, at such a large scale, elections taking place and getting votes from so many people and
बहुत बड़ी कठिन तपस्या रहती है, कठोर
become victorious is a huge task. But the people in India have given their blessings. And in this election, we came with two major subjects. One was our request for good governance, and the second was development.
मानते हैं कि
We agree that the solution to all the problems cannot be found unless we can focus on these two things.
पहले हमारे यहाँ
Earlier, we used to
कुल मिलाकर के आदत ये रही थी
have a habit that, just make the smaller sections happy, just throw them some loaves,
वोट बैंक को
and keep your vote bank intact and play with politics.
सरल उपाय है।
That's a very easy solution, a very easy way. And to stay in politics,
बराबर वो जम गए।
the people in India were getting used to that. But
गुड गवर्नेंस की बात करना, डेवलपमेंट
when we talk of good governance and development and getting up, raising yourself up from smaller issues is a difficult thing. But why people accepted that is because the youth generation, the young generation in India, their thinking, their way they think has changed. They do not want to live anymore in small pieces. The treatment that they have received so far, they are not happy with that, and they want something new.
भारत एक भाग्यवान देश है।
And India is a very fortunate country.
तो दुनिया का
It is
सबसे पुराना सिविलाइजेशन,
the oldest civilization in the world.
साथ साथ
Besides,
दुनिया का सबसे युवा देश।
it's also the most youthful country in the world. It's a very unique combination that we have. We have a very great heritage, and we are also the youngest country in the world.
हमारे 65% जन
65% of our population is under 35-year-old.
इस यूथ का जो एस्पिरेशन
And the aspiration of this youth,
मन के अंदर जो पड़े हुए विचार,
the ideas that they have in their mind, it's a result of that such a huge political transformation has taken place.
कि राजनीति
It is definite that in politics,
स्टेबिलिटी
stability
वो अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा
in itself is a very big message. We know that if we have stability,
तो सामान्य मानवी को भरोसा होता है हाँ
a common man will have confidence that now something will go on the basis of the
भारत की
policies and laws and we'll be okay. So by taking a decision to follow the policies, we have put a foundation, and people themselves are responsible for putting that foundation for development.
जब मैं गुड गवर्नेंस कहता हूँ
When I say good governance, I believe
मिनिमम
that there should be minimum government and maximum government.
क्योंकि
Because
इतना बड़ा देश चलाने के लिए
to run such a huge country,
परंपराएं इतने
there are so many traditions, rules, regulations, hierarchies. All these things are there that become obstacles in your way.
सरकारी
And
ही एक
the government's own order becomes obstacles sometimes, problems sometimes. My objective is to see how to make them easier, how to make them speedy, and I'm working in that direction. How to bring transparency, that's what is our effort.
हम ई गवर्नेंस की ओर बढ़
We are emphasizing on e-governance,
इलेक्ट्रॉनिक
electronic governance.
और इसके कारण
And because of that,
इफेक्टिव गवर्नेंस की पूरी संभावना
there is a full possibility of effective government and easy government. We are emphasizing on that too. And secondly is development. For development, we have two aspects.
एक
One,
हम विश्व
on a world level,
कंट्रीज की बराबरी में
we should come on par with developing countries.
मेरे देश का
And at the same time, the poorest of the poor person of my country, the last person in my country, how to bring transformation in his life. And
जब चर्चा होती
when we talk about India, there's one aspect that we forget about, and it's a time. It's a demand of the time that we talk about it, and that is new middle class,
गरीबी से बाहर आए हैं,
people who have come out of the clutches of poverty, but they haven't reached the middle class yet, and now they do not want to go back into poverty.
एक बहुत बड़ा बल है।
This is a huge ball.
न्यू मिडिल क्लास को एड्रेस
Now, we want to address this new middle class. If we can address the new middle class and we can bring changes in their economic life, then we can make sure that they are very firm, they are very sure about getting out of poverty. But if we bring disappointment to them, and
दुर्भाग्य से वो
unfortunately, if they once again go back towards poverty, then
बाहर रहने की आने की
a poor person will never have the ambition to even get out of poverty, because he will believe, okay, this is what God has destined for me, and then I should just follow this as is, and I should just accept my situation. I want to change this. And for that, what plans can we have for this section is what we are emphasizing at this time. When I say that we want to go at global level, where
हमारा ग्रोथ रेट बढ़ाना,
we can increase our growth rate,
इकोनॉमी को
our economy,
तेज बनाना
we want to expedite our economy.
अच्छा है। पहले 3 महीने में ही
It's better that in the first 3 months we have gone from 4.5 to 5.7%.
पहले 3 महीने में बढ़ाने में
We have been successful in increasing it by 1.3%. And the main reason behind that is that after the government was elected, there has been an atmosphere of confidence, of trust. And because of this confidence and trust atmosphere, it gives us the momentum. Sometimes, if a person is sick,
किसी दूसरे से
and if he's sick in a different city,
तब उसको अपना डॉक्टर,
unless and until he finds his own doctor, he cannot recover. He's worried.
उसको खुद का डॉक्टर
He needs his own doctor.
तब उसका अपना विश्वास उस
And
बीमारी से
it is his own confidence, his own trust in that
लोगों ने
treatment that gets him out of that disease. And that's why the confidence with which people have formed this government. Now they have formed this government and they have some aspirations and ambitions that they want to fulfill. And because of that, there has been a confidence that has arisen in the hearts of people. And trust and confidence is doing a big, huge psychological thing, and there is a magnetic effect all around, and there is an atmosphere of race towards development, towards growth. And if we want to come next to the developing countries, this is what is important.
हमारी इकोनॉमी को
We want that our economy should move forward on the basis of 3 pillars: agriculture, manufacturing, and service sector. And we want to balance all 3.
हमारी पूरी इकोनॉमी में
In our entire economy, 30% contribution should be from agriculture, 30 from manufacturing, and 30 from service sector. If there is a point or so here and there, then the country's economy should not suffer. This is the direction in which we want to go. When we talk about manufacturing, we try to create a trust in Make in India. We are telling the world, Make in India, come join us and Make in India. And I tell the people in India that you should also do such manufacturing that your product should work and be in demand in the world economy. That's why I say zero defect, zero effect. Our product should be such that it has zero effect, and our process of our product should be such that it has zero effect on the environment. And that's why zero defect, zero effect is something that we want to carry on with our manufacturing process and product. And therefore, we want to create our own place in the world. When I talk about Make in India, people from the world are here. In every entrepreneur, every industrialist has to do manufacturing, and there is market available. But he's only worried how to do low-cost production, how to get effective governance, how to have security for his investment, and how he gets the proper human resources for his own employees and for his officers, how he gets the quality of life. If we pay attention to these things,
तो विदेश के लोगों को
then the foreign investors can come and invest there. India is a young country and we are paying attention on skill development. Even in skill development, I have two aspects. One,
2020 तक दुनिया
by the year 2020, the world is going to need a lot of workforce. World is going to need such a huge workforce that it's a matter of concern where the workforce will come. India is a young country. The requirement, the workforce requirement of the world can be meted out by India. It has that potential. India, the world will need a lot of workforce, and we want to do that work. Similarly, we also want to do that skill development in which our entrepreneurs are get ready, and those should be the people who should be job creators. Small people with small industries or work can become job creators. And then in that way, there should be a network of small industries and our economy should go forward. This is the direction in which we want to go. And I'm sure that the steps that we have taken so far, those will have a direct impact. And in the last
अल्पकाल में ही
3 months, the small, short duration of 3 months, as Dr. Has just told you, that in March,
अचीवमेंट किया है
on Mars planet, we have done a big achievement. You will be happy to know that in India, in different places, in small factories, small parts were manufactured, and our space scientists collected all of them.
बहुत ही कम
And in a very small expenditure, we were able
पहुंचने में हम सफलता पाई
to reach Mars in a very small expenditure.
तो अगर मैं कहूं तो
If I talk about expenditure,
बॉलीवुड की फिल्म
a Hollywood movie is more expensive in its production than this.
बॉलीवुड की फिल्म
A Hollywood movie, even in less expense than a Hollywood movie,
करोड़ किलोमीटर
we reached 650 million miles of journey to Mars,
और दुनिया
and we have reached there. And India is the first country in the world which was successful in its maiden attempt, in its first attempt. Countries have taken 7 to 8 attempts, but India is the first country which was successful in its very first attempt.
और लोगों
So,
को बनाने का सामर्थ्य
and people have the competence to manufacture things, and this is what we have told the world. People in manufacturing sector, now they don't need to see anything else.
एक्सपीरियंस का
They should just take they should just study our
तय कर सकता है हाँ
experience on Mars, and then after doing that case study, they can say, yes, we can go to Mars. Such a huge achievement in such a small expenditure and with skill development, they'll understand if a person brings that product, he can do it. And that is why Make in India mission is something we are going forward with. We are emphasizing on skill development, and we are trying to bring a lot of change in our laws. We have done labor reforms also. I know in a country like India,
राजनीतिक दृष्टि से
from the political point of view, it may sometimes be not very appropriate. But the mandate that people have given us, looking at that, I believe that I have to take my country into the direction of progress. It's my duty. And therefore, even if it is not politically needed, I would still take very responsible steps. And ultimately, that is going to go in favor of everybody. We do not want that anybody should face any problems. And if you have to do any labor reforms, you should do it. When it comes to central government, we will give you full cooperation.
राज्य के बीच में
Between central and state government, India is a federal government, had a federal structure. We have started the governance on the basis of Team India. Between center and states, why not they work together? If a company wants to come and invest in a country, it comes and talks in New Delhi, and Delhi doesn't have to do anything on its own. It has to send it to a different state. But if the people in the states do not know what to do, then they do not give a right response. But if the center and the states work together as a team, then everybody will believe whether I go to Delhi or go to a headquarter in any state, my work will never face any obstacles. There is an atmosphere of confidence now. And that is why Team India
हमारी पूरी कार्यशैली
is working, and we have brought complete change in our working system, and we are trying to move forward with that confidence. Similarly, ease of business. I know
मैं कभी कभी कहता हूँ
sometimes I say
हिंदू माइथोलॉजी में
in Hindu mythology
कि चार धाम की यात्रा
that if you go to 4 pilgrimages, then you will achieve moksha, that is salvation. But in our country, a file can travel to 32 places, but it will still not reach the right place. It will still not reach salvation. So I told them
फाइल का मोक्ष
the
फाइल का मोक्ष जल्दी कैसे हो
how to move the files quickly. And for that, we have changed the process.
यहाँ कोई फॉर्म भरना है तो
If we had to fill a form, people will have 10-page long archaic forms. And for each thing, they had to fill in a new form. So I said, this will not go on anymore. I told all my officers there should be 1-page form and never ask anybody anything else. That means people feel these are very small things, but we all know
ताला कितना ही बड़ा क्यों ना हो
no matter how big and huge the lock is, it will only open with a small key. And that's why small things can open doors to bigger things. And emphasizing that, we are trying to move our system forward towards progress. About foreign direct investment, we have taken initiatives in our very first budget. The railway system in our country. People have not paid attention to that. But there is nothing bigger than this for economic development. This is the second largest railway line in the world.
इतना बड़ा रेलवे का काम है
Is so much work in the railways,
मैं प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहता
and we need private investment in that. For many years, it was not taking place. A lot of industrial houses people met me today and they said, we have heard a lot, but nothing really happened. I said, you have heard so far? Now this has happened. This has taken place. We have made provision in our budget officially. We have allowed 100% FDI. That we want to upgrade railways, that we want to increase the speed of railways, that we want to expand railways, and that in India, we want
मेन हमारी आत्मा है उसको
that railway should fulfill the main spirit
मैं मानता
in India for travel. And I believe that trillions and trillions of dollars of business is there in India's railways itself. It is linked with India's railways. And that's such a job for which you don't need really rocket science. If people from a good factory come, they can work towards that. I have the manpower and you have the money. I have talent, you have business experience. If we merge both of these, we can fulfill this. And 1.25 billion people's lives can only change with these things. And we are trying to bring those changes. Even for environment, we are equally conscious.
मैं जब गुजरात में मुख्यमंत्री
When I was the chief minister in Gujarat,
गुजरात was the fourth government in the world
it was the 4th government in the world which had a separate department for climate change. And we gave a lot of boost to climate change.
हमारे देश की 80%
80% of solar energy, clean energy,
जहाँ जिस राज्य में मुख्यमंत्री
was manufactured in Gujarat, where I was the chief minister. So we have emphasized everything,
एनवायरमेंट को ध्यान में रखते हुए
keeping environment in mind. We've also taken the task of cleaning the river Ganges.
1000 किलोमीटर लंबी
2,500 miles long Ganges, and 30% of the people are impacted by this river Ganges. Their life is attached to this. The economy of the villages of those areas are connected with this. Our agriculture sector is based on this, the river Ganges in north. And whether it's Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, all these areas are such where it is our first priority to fight against poverty. And keep taking this task in mind, we have moved forward. Of course, Ganges will be cleaned. Environment and production will also be paid attention to. But at the same time, those poor areas, we want that this should become a big basis for generating economy there. And I want to create a public movement, a revolution there to clean Ganges. And I'm going to invite people from all over the world, people who believe, who have faith in the river Ganges. I'm going to invite them also to come. But the work, which is the most difficult work, that how to make it environment friendly, we are paying emphasis on that. And in a way, economic development, the concern about environment, skill development of the youth, expanding the possibilities of employment, bringing improvement in governance, working towards the effective governance. We are moving ahead with all these things, but along with that, there is
अपनी मनमर्जी से नहीं चलता।
no such country which can just progress on its own. The world has changed, and we have to stay within the global requirements, and we have to maintain our balance with the global flows. We have to walk shoulder to shoulder with the global leaders. Nobody can be a master of his own mind. We have to work together. And the philosophy of India that drives it.
जो देश
And a country
कॉफी के प्रकाश में चलते हैं
that works or moves in the shadow of philosophy sustains for a longer duration. Those who work with ideology will one day or the other topple. Ideology has its limitations. Philosophy is unlimited. And that is why
भारत की जो फिलोसॉफी
the philosophy of India
है कुटुंब का
that the entire world is a family. That's the philosophy we are taking with us to move forward. And then when we move forward, we adopt that. With our neighboring countries, we want friendship.
मेरा जब शपथ समारोह था
On my swearing in ceremony,
पहले भी कई प्रधानमंत्री
many prime ministers have had their swearing in ceremonies. I was not the first one, but this was the first such swearing in ceremony where all the country heads were present from the SARC countries. I had invited all the SARC leaders, and in such a short duration, as soon as I came in, our neighboring countries, I went and met them. I went to Nepal. Nobody had gone to Nepal in 17 years. I went to Nepal, I went to Bhutan, and I'm really still busy making friendship with my neighboring countries, and I'm sure that we can all share our joys and sorrows. Recently there was a flood in Jammu and Kashmir, and people had a lot of problems after that, and there was the effect of flood in Pakistan also, and I told it publicly that we are helping in Kashmir, and on the other side, across the border, people are facing the ravages of flood, and on the basis of humanity, we would like to help them also. With this background only can we live. The friendship should be very deep, and that will be better for us too. I have announced that we are going to
उपग्रह हम तैयार करें
launch a SARC satellite. I have already told my scientists that with the help of that SARC satellite, we will progress in health, education, weather prediction, forecast. This SARC satellite is going to help free to all our neighboring countries. So we have
हम ऐसे ही इनिशिएटिव ले रहे हैं
thought about a SARC satellite. So we are taking all those initiatives so that all our SARC countries can work together and progress. And the efforts that are taking place to eradicate poverty, we may also be able to contribute towards that. China is also in our neighborhood. The entire world believes
21वीं सदी एशिया
the 21st century is the century of Asia. Some people believe that this belongs to India, some believe that it belongs to China. But nobody has a problem in believing who the 21st century belongs to. Whether it belongs to India or China is something that people are debating in the world. But one benefit that comes from India is that we have three things that the world does not have.
दुनिया के किसी देश के पास
In no country in the world, no country has all these three things together. One may have one or second or the third, but not all. One is democracy, the other is demographic division, and the third is demand.
ये तीनों चीजें
And all these three things,
हमारे पास लोकतंत्र के विषय में
we have all these three things in the democratic aspect. As much as US can take pride being the biggest, being the oldest democracy, India can take pride in being the biggest democracy. In demography, let's see, we have 1.25 billion population. There's so much demand there. And there is no such country which has both the
संभावनाएं सबसे
possibilities. And that's why the possibility is there that India will stand with a lot of competence and will work towards the good and the well-being of the world. I had said this in the recent years as well after I came here, that within 1 month, I had said that in the month of September itself, I went to Japan, I met the Australian and the Chinese premiers. Now I'm meeting the American premier. I have met a lot of distinguished people in UN. At such a speed, I'm working at the global level. India has started this global attempt. And I believe firmly that we have to live together in harmony. We have to work shoulder to shoulder with each other in complete bonhomie. And even in the midst of problems, difficulties, we have to keep our each other, we have to engage in conversation, and we have to believe that there is coexistence. If we keep crying about our problems and brooding over it, then we cannot move forward. We have problems on border with China, but even after that, we have improved our trade relations, our political relations, our diplomatic relations with China. And it is our effort that the problem, this one problem about which the whole world is worried, and India is worried for the last 40 years, is terrorism. The problem of terrorism, this danger of terrorism needs to be taken very seriously. And I have to say it with regret that number of countries in the world
वो टेररिज्म के घिनौने रूप को
have never been able to understand the Herculean and the draconian form of terrorism.
स्टेट डिपार्टमेंट में आया
I had come in 1993 to State Department, and I was talking to the very senior officials of State Department, and I was talking about India's terrorism. And State Department officials were telling me that this is your own law and order problem. I was trying to convince them that this is terrorism, but they were saying, no, this is law and order problem. They said, you don't know how to run a government. You don't have order. And I kept trying to convince them. We had only 15 minutes. We talked for 1.5 hours, but I could not convince them. And when in 93, when I came, they said, why don't you sit together? And then we again sat together.
और इस बार वो
And this time, they were telling me, what is terrorism?
इसलिए समझा रहे थे
And they were telling me this because on Trade Center, there had been a big explosion.
हमारे दम में बम नहीं गिरता
That means that unless and until we have a bomb explosion, we don't understand what terrorism is. Because of terrorism, India, the world is facing a lot of problem. It's going through a lot of pain. We have faced this problem for 40 years, and there is no limitation to this problem. It doesn't follow any country. It does not know which country it will go and when. It's hard to estimate that. It's such a deformity which we cannot ever even imagine. We cannot even imagine when we see it on TV, a journalist's throat is being slit. We are talking about 21st century humanity. Such a heinous crime is being committed in front of us. It can shake anybody of us.
और जब अगर हमारी मां
And as long as we don't understand this,
राजनीति प्लस माइनस का आधार पर टेररिज्म का हिसाब नहीं हो सकता
we cannot take care of terrorism based on diplomacy only. Terrorism is an enemy of humanity, and anyone who believes in humanity, they all need to come together.
देश की सीमाएं जाति बिरादरी
The borders of the country, the casteism and communalism and all these things, we have to get over them, above them, believe in humanity, and we all need to come together and unite ourselves. Only then can we challenge the problem of terrorism. And for that, to challenge the problem of terrorism, no matter what the resources, there is only one single way. And we have to follow this one single way. And the world should understand this, that who all believe in humanity should come join their hands.
अलग अलग तराजू से नहीं तोल
We cannot weigh terrorism in different balances, like this is good terrorism or bad terrorism. If the country that I like has terrorism, I don't care, I should just close my eyes. And if the country that I don't like has terrorism, then I should do something. No, that's not how it should be. Terrorism is terrorism. There is no such thing as good or bad terrorism. And if we brand it like good and bad terrorism, then the terrorists are going to take benefit of that. Today, the condition of West Asia that we see, they had prosperity in the last 3 decades. If we see, they were so far ahead in their economy. But look at what the situation is now. And that is why these activities of humanity's enemies, for that, for the world has to work together in bonhomie, together with each other, and only then can we save humanity. And when humanity walks on that path, we talk about the benefit and welfare of everybody. We talk about that tradition and that philosophy. We are those people who had only learned one mantra in the Vedic Kals, Vedic era, which is being said in Sanskrit here. And it means that we are the people where we want that everyone should be prosperous. And physically, everybody should be healthy. Everyone should be prosperous. This is the philosophy with which we have grown. Not only do we say that people who live in India should be prosperous. No, that's not what we believe in. And that's why we believe and like the prosperity of the world. And with that ideology, we are moving forward. I'm sure that India will move very fast towards progress. We are trying to encourage tourism. And I invite each one of you, please come and visit India. It's a place to be seen, to be visited. This is my mantra. Tourism unites, terrorism divides. That's why I want that we should all meet each other and we should see each other and get to know each other. And the more we know each other, the more we will be benefited. I got the opportunity to come in between all of you, to meet all of you. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Well, I want to begin by thanking the Prime Minister for those generous comments about this organization, about the Council on Foreign Relations, the overly generous comments about myself, and I want to thank him for that extraordinary tour d'horizon. I couldn't also help but think that India's rocket may have reached Mars in less time than it took to go cross town in New York this past week. But that's the problem here. Let me begin, sir, with a question begin with the economics on trade, which, as you know, is often cited as one of the principal locomotives or engines of economic growth. Yet India, since you became Prime Minister, decided not to go ahead and ratify the so-called Trade Facilitation Agreement. And India is, for the moment, outside both APEC and the TPP negotiations. So could you say something about your view of trade and whether the domestic politics of India will allow you to pursue a liberal trade agenda?
जहाँ तक ट्रेड फैसिलिटेशन का
As
सवाल है, हम 101% एग्री है, उस पर कोई दुविधा का विषय नहीं, क्योंकि हम भी चाहते हैं कि हम आज ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी का युग है, अगर ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी का युग है, तो हमें हमारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, हमारी फैसिलिटीज ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड की बनानी पड़ेगी.
There is no simultaneous translation. He will translate it later.
Okay.
Just let him speak in English. नहीं चलेगा. That's why he was asking me.
Okay.
आप वही रखोगे ना, बोल रहे हैं PM, उसके बाद आप translate करेंगे. Will be better.
और इसलिए हम हम भी मानते हैं कि विश्व के साथ उनको काम करना है। मेरे लिए पॉलिटिक्स इज नॉट अ इशू एट ऑल। मैं लोकरंजक राजनीति वाला इंसान नहीं हूँ और न ही लोकरंजक अर्थनीति वाला इंसान हूँ, लेकिन मेरे देश में गरीब लोग हैं। गरीबों को भूखा रख करके हम नहीं चल सकते और इसलिए फूड सिक्योरिटी एंड ट्रेड फैसिलिटेशन दोनों चीजें एक साथ चलनी चाहिए, ये मेरे देश का आग्रह है। ये पहले कर लो, वो देखा जाएगा, तो गरीबों के साथ अन्याय होगा और दुनिया को कोई तकलीफ नहीं है।
And the world has no problem with the fact that we have to take a positive stand with food security.
Do we have a microphone for this gentleman here? Right here. No, we got one. And just to sort of get the gist, and then I think we'll have simultaneous from here on.
Okay.
It's on. It's on.
All right. Thank you. India is not at all opposed to the trade facilitation agreement of the WTO. We are absolutely clear in our mind with regard to our commitment to the WTO agreement on the trade facilitation. We also recognize very well that we have to work with the international community and the rest of the world on this agreement. I am personally against following populist policies or even populist economic approaches. But one must recognize that India has a large population of poor people whose requirements of food security, whose requirements of food availability cannot be ignored. As a result, I have always maintained, and India has said, that the agreement on the food security and the trade facilitation has to go hand in hand and together. It cannot be that you do this first and we will see the other later on. So we are very much committed to the trade facilitation, but we have to ensure simultaneous progress on the food security front also.
I have one other question I want to raise in the economic realm, which deals with electricity. As I understand it, several 100 million Indians do not have adequate access to electricity. And the question a lot of people are asking is, how can these people come to enjoy a middle-class life? And in the process, not set in motion economics that have a clearly negative impact on climate change, given the amount of carbon that would be emitted.
ये बात सही है कि हमारे
This is right that
आज बिजली
today
जीवन में एक बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण हिस्सा बन
electricity has become an important part of our life. Electricity is no longer a luxury. It's a requirement of our life. And
24/7 बिजली
24/7, we are committed to get 24/7 electricity for everyone. In our manifesto, we have said it, and we have said it in our agenda also, that in the next 5 years, each village in India will get electricity power supply 24/7, and this is possible. And the way
एनर्जी सेक्टर में काम किया।
we have worked in the energy sector, we are emphasizing on clean energy.
हम सोलार के लिए रूफ
For solar, we are bringing the rooftop policy, and for that, now
संकट रहेगा,
the
इसकी संभावनाएं बहुत।
there is no possibility that there will be shortage of electricity in India. As far as climate change is concerned,
शायद आप लोगों को जान करके
you will be
आश्चर्य होगा, मैंने
very surprised to know, as I said before, that when I was in Gujarat,
अल गोर ने किताब लिखी है,
Al Gore has written a book,
इनकन्वीनियंट ट्रूथ।
Inconvenient Truth.
मैंने किताब लिखी है,
And I have written a book called Convenient Action.
और वो मैंने एनवायरनमेंट को लिखा
And I've written it on environment.
और जो
And
किया जा सकता है,
what is possible with the help of political will.
फ्रेंडली काम कैसे
Environment friendly work can be done, and how it can be done is what I have proved in that book. And that's why development and climate are not enemies. If we think so, that's wrong.
carefully
We
streamline करके
will streamline this carefully and make it move forward.
Sir, India is, by many counts, the second largest Muslim country in the world in terms of population. Only Indonesia is larger. And as you know from your time here, Americans are obviously seized with the challenge posed by the group ISIS. So one of the questions that's come up is whether you're worried that the unrest sweeping large parts of the Arab and Muslim worlds might spread to India. And to the extent that you are, what are your plans to reduce your country's susceptibility to radicalization and even violence?
जहाँ तक भारत का सवाल है,
As far as India is concerned, no matter which community or religion the person belongs to, there is a basic philosophy which drives everyone. And India's philosophy is, the emblem is Mahatma Buddha, Mahatma Gandhi, where we believe in non-violence. That's in our very nature. And you must have seen that there is so much terrorist activity that took place in our country. We are so bothered by terrorism. But in spite of all this terrorism, this terrorist activity has been exported to our country. It's not homegrown. And that is why the Muslim in India,
मुझे कभी एक बार CNN ने पूछा था,
once CNN had asked me that Al-Qaeda is saying such and such things and what will happen. And I said, when India's Muslim will fail Al-Qaeda.
We hope so. Let me turn to foreign policy for a minute, and then I'll open it up, which is for much of the Cold War, India's articulated foreign policy was one of non-alignment, and there was always the reference to the 5 principles of coexistence. But as you know, and as everybody knows, the world is no longer aligned with the end of the Cold War. So what is India's compass? What is India's intellectual approach to this post-Cold War world when it comes to its foreign policy?
देखिए हम 18th और 19th century की तरफ जाएं,
If we go towards 18th and the 19th century, the entire era was an era of revolution.
शासक
Every ruler, whatever his perimeter was, he wanted to fight for expansion. And if you look at the history of 2 centuries, it's a history of revolution, of fighting. And after that, the history that came is the revolution, is the history of groups, one group versus the other group. And now the time has changed very rapidly. The 21st century is not going to run on groups or groupism. They are irrelevant now. Each country is interdependent now.
विश्व के सब देश को
All the countries in the world need each other. We have already entered an era where each country is dependent on the other. And now not with the help of groups, but with coexistence. And believing in coexistence, we have to move and march forward. Whether we want it or we don't want, this has already taken place.
सभी देश
And all the countries,
G20 में होंगे,
whether they are in G20,
G4 में
they will also be in G4. Those who are in
G9 में होंगे,
G7 will also be there in G9. So you can see that there has never been such a group which is singular. Everybody is finding place in everywhere. So the world has changed. We should not believe in that we used to believe in old times. And this is an interdependent world. We have to accept that. It's an interdependent world. The world is moving very fast. We have been linked by technology. Our necessities, our requirements have linked us with each other. And we have accepted a new change. And that's why all the old parameters are not going to be functional anymore.
After this meeting here in New York, you're soon heading to Washington. You'll meet with the president tonight. You've got meetings tomorrow. I expect one word you're going to hear again and again and again is the word partnership to describe the U.S.-Indian relationship. So my question for you is whether you are comfortable with that word, and to the extent that you are or not, what is your definition of partnership when it comes to India and the United States?
पहली बात है कि
First of all, it's not necessary that we should have comfort in everything. Even in husband and wife, there's never 100% comfort.
We could leave your answer there.
लेकिन उसके बावजूद
But in spite of that,
लंबे समय तक
for a very long time, there is a binding for a long time. There are a few things which connect India and US, the biggest thing is democracy, openness. The openness we see in society, we see that in the culture of both countries. And thirdly, you see in America,
सारी दुनिया अमेरिका में आकर के बसी।
the entire world has come to stay in America. This is a part of America's character, that it assimilates everybody. And an Indian is settled all over the world. So India also has the power to assimilate everybody in its country. So these are the characters that link us, that connect us. The third thing is economic. You know, it's the trade relations. Sometimes it's in your benefit, sometimes it's in our relation. It's a give and take formula based on which we work. But both the countries have a faith in democracy, a respect towards democracy, which connects us.
We started a few minutes late, so if it's okay, we'll go on a few minutes. And one of the traditions at the Council on Foreign Relations, again, you were extraordinarily generous about this organization, is our members get a chance to ask a few questions. So why don't I turn to them? These questions will be tougher than the one from me. I should warn you. Ken Juster, I saw you had. And people just wait for the microphone and keep it as short as possible and introduce themselves.
Hi, Ken Juster with the firm Warburg Pincus. I just wanted to follow up on Richard's last question on the partnership between the United States and India. You've described what features we have in common, but do you have, another word I think you'll hear tomorrow is strategic partnership, and do you have a vision for that partnership and how the United States and India can work together on global issues and regional issues?
देखिए अभी भारत और अमेरिका ने मिलकर के
India and US together,
शांति की दिशा में प्रयास करना एक एक विषय है।
it's one thing that we are working in the direction of finding peace,
आर्थिक विकास को लेकर के
but on economic development, we are going to be talking about when we meet.
यहाँ पर जो रिसर्च होती
The research that takes place here,
है रिसर्च का उपयोग
on that research, how it can be used.
अन्य देशों के साथ
Maybe,
करके भारत के साथ मिलकर के
maybe it can be used with the other countries
धरती पर उतार
like India, and maybe there is more possibility of bringing it on earth. There is more utility there, and we can work on that as well. And how we look at the world, our perspective towards the world, not based on the utilization alone. I still believe that the US and India relation and India's relations for the benefit of US and US relations for its own, instead of doing that, we should believe how we can work together for each other's benefit. And if we can work like that, then our strength can be very beneficial for the whole world. And today, when I met Mr. Kerry, I explained that to Mr. Kerry in great length.
Is Afghanistan one of the areas you think we can work on together in a productive way? Is Afghanistan one of the challenges we can work on?
अफगानिस्तान एक तो बड़ा एग्जाम्पल है।
Afghanistan is a very big example. It's actually an example.
के बहुत लोग अफगानिस्तान
A lot of people from India live in Afghanistan. And in a way, with India and Afghanistan partnership, Afghanistan has played a very big role. And even we want that Afghanistan should be stable
लोकतांत्रिक तरीके से
and in democratic way. It should march towards its voyage of development. And the security measures with which America has helped, there has been stability created there. And our efforts have been, even today, and the new government that has come up there after the elections, we are trying to coordinate between the government and the people. And India and US have worked and tried to create that there. And Afghanistan has marched towards a good result. But we have requested to America that the defense withdrawal subject, please do not repeat the mistake that you did in Iraq, because after such a rapid withdrawal in Iraq, what happened there, you know. So the withdrawal process in Afghanistan should be very slow, let it stand on its own, and only then it can stop from Taliban emerging its head there. That's why India and U.S. have worked together to bring prosperity in Afghanistan.
Professor Cohen, who's one of this country's leading China experts.
Mr. Prime Minister, you set an admirable example for the world in June when you accepted the arbitration decision of a Law of the Sea tribunal, even though it awarded most of the Bay of Bengal that was in dispute to Bangladesh. Would you be willing to submit your land border problems with China to arbitration or adjudication? The Chinese government has thus far rejected the use of arbitration or adjudication. The Philippines is now putting China to the test. Would India be willing to do something similar?
चीन और भारत दोनों सक्षम है
China and India both are competent and to find a solution with a dialogue. China and India are in direct talks, and that is why there is no need for a separate arbitration. And I have had very good relations with China personally. China president was here, met with me, and I believe that there is border dispute, yes. And in several things, on several subjects, we have talked about and we will take it forward. But we both believe that we can come together and find a solution. That's why we do not need an arbitration.
Yes, ma'am. It's on.
Don, hi. I'm Tara Lawson-Reamer, formerly a fellow here at the council and now legal and campaign director with Avaz, a global civic organization with over 38 million members worldwide. You've often said there's no compromise on the dignity of women. So given the enormous potential of Indian women and the challenges they face every day, what is your vision for a Made in India approach to ending gender-based violence and inequality? Is your government exploring the establishment of a prime ministerial task force or any other concrete milestones to be a global leader on this issue that's so fundamental to the lives of so many?
This may also be a good moment to introduce both your foreign minister and your foreign secretary.
आपका बहुत मैं आभारी हूँ कि
I'm grateful to you
जो मैंने इनिशिएटिव लिए उसके
that the initiatives that I have taken, you have talked about it.
दुनिया के कई भाग ऐसे हैं
There are many parts of the world
देश का
where
प्रमुख महिला नहीं बन पाता
the chief cannot be a woman. There are many places, in many countries where a woman cannot become a president or prime minister. But India and Asian countries have had women prime ministers and heads of mirth. My foreign minister is a woman, Ms. Sushma Swaraj. She's sitting here. My foreign secretary is also a woman, Sujata Singh.
और मेरी कैबिनेट में
And in my cabinet,
25% women
25% are women. They are the cabinet ministers.
लेकिन
But
ये इस बात से बात पूरी नहीं होती है
But this is not all.
विमेन एम्पावरमेंट के लिए सब
For women empowerment, the first and foremost thing is girl-child education.
डेडिकेटेड हैं
We are dedicated for girl-child education. And I would like to share my experience in Gujarat.
गुजरात में मुख्यमंत्री
When I was the chief minister in Gujarat,
यहाँ गर्ल चाइल्ड एजुकेशन का जब मैंने जाना
when
पहली बार तो मुख्यमंत्री
I came to understand about girl-child education, when I was the first time, when I first time became the chief minister, it was very painful for me that the situation of girl-child education was such that as the schools start on 15th June, and the temperature there at that time is 45 degree. Here at 24 degree you feel hot, and we were living in 45 degree. So on June 13th, 14th and 15th, I would go to the villages myself, and all my cabinet ministers will go with me. All my members of legislative assembly will go with me, and I would beg people at each door, and I would tell them that in your when I beg you, please give me a promise that you will educate your daughters. And I would take those girls to school myself. And I was successful in having 100% enrollment. This was 100% enrollment in which I was successful. I did not get stuck there. Wherever I went on a public function, people would give me a gift, and I would auction that gift.
जब मैं मुख्यमंत्री पद से गुजरात से बाहर निकला,
So when I came out of Gujarat,
ऑप्शन में मुझे
in that auction,
78 करोड़ रुपए
I got 78 crore rupees.
78 करोड़ रुपए मैंने गर्ल
And
चाइल्ड
I
एजुकेशन
used
के
that
लिए दान
amount
दिया सरकार को।
as
ये कमिटमेंट
a gift to the government for girl child education.
और मेरी सरकार का एक एजेंडा
So this is my government's agenda.
है कि पढ़ाओ,
Educate your daughter and save your daughter.
हम काम कर रहे हैं।
And we are working in that direction.
दुनिया के कई देश हैं
There are many countries in the world
वो वोटिंग पाने के लिए
where, in order to get voting, women have had to go through a lot of revolution. Even developed countries, women had to fight for getting voter rights. But in India, women
30% रिजर्वेशन है,
have 30% reservation in election, no matter which body it is. It is compulsory to have 30% women. This is the kind of forward-looking country that we are.
Farouk Katwari.
I'm Farouk Athwari, CEO of Ethan Allen, and originally born in Srinagar, Kashmir. So you mentioned about the Jammu and Kashmir floods. So our families, of course, have been tremendously and greatly affected. So my question and actually a request is that the government of India should allow international organizations to come in. There's a tremendous amount of bureaucracy in allowing international organizations to help.
पहली बात है कि
First of all,
कई देशों ने
many countries in the world
आप कश्मीर को मदद पहुंचाई है जब
have sent assistance to Kashmir. When there was an earthquake in Gujarat, we also had received a lot of assistance. And it's a very good thing in the entire world that if there is a natural calamity anywhere, all the countries send help. When there was an earthquake in Pakistan, I was the first one because I was in Gujarat and in the neighborhood. And we had sent the help to Pakistan. This is something that humanity has to do.
I have a quick last question because I know we're behind schedule, which is, as you come into this job, you've now been there for 4 months. Is there another leader, whether India or in another country, who you say, that's someone who set a model that I would like to follow in my position as Prime Minister?
मैं मानता हूं ऐसा मैं कहूंगा तो कईयों का
If I say that, then that will be an injustice to a lot of people. Because there are so many people and I have to learn so much from everybody. If I give you one name, 50 other people will be upset. So that's why all the experienced people that are there, I have to learn something from everybody. And after learning from everybody, I have to do good for my country. So whoever is the best, I have to bring that in my country.
Mr. Prime Minister, I learned something from you and how not to answer a question just now. Thank you very much.